Nothing really going on this morning, huh? Just kind of a quiet day. No, it has been absolutely insane for the Colorado Avalanche. We're getting going on a live here, folks. This is the beauty of working in sports, right? You know, you think it's going to be a kind of a quiet morning. You got a game tonight, kind of mundane. We'll just kind of wait. Trade deadline coming up in a couple days. And then in the course of about 30 minutes, the Avs did everything that we had been kind of waiting for them to do, that we've been kind of talking about, speculating. As I'm pushing this link out, the Avs, I went on a coffee break with my good friend Rachel Vigil this morning to talk about the upcoming trade deadline. And I told her, I said, the sense I'm getting right now is that if the Avs do make a splash, a sizable splash, which I had been told, I had heard that was what they were looking to do. They understood where this team was at, and they were, they said, hey, look, we think we've got a chance. We want to make a significant impact. I had a feeling they were going for it, and I told Rachel on coffee break, I said, if they do it, I think it's going to be a little bit of an off-the-board move or moves. Not necessarily completely unexpected, but players that's like, man, we didn't really have them linked, to the Avs, and gosh, we really weren't even sure if they were going to get traded. And that is exactly what happened. Casey Mittelstadt, Sean Walker, to me, really, and I'm putting this in a tweet right now, I'm writing it down so you know I'm serious. I think that was the craziest 30 minutes in Avs history, in Avalanche history. I can't speak fully for the Quebec Nordiques, and the Quebec Nordiques, holy smokes, I also can't talk. The Quebec Nordiques were relocated, so they had some pretty crazy moments too, right? But my goodness. So let's kind of take it back to the beginning of the morning. Let's take it back even further. Let's take it back to the beginning, or the beginning of the weekend. The Avs move on from Curtis McDermott for nothing. For a prospect player that's still playing in the KHL, and a late pick. So that's just pure cap space opening up. You see a couple other kind of small moves that they do, they make here and there, different players, things like that, signing Ivan, those types of things. But you just could tell. You said there's no way that they're doing all of this shuffling if there's not something they're targeting. Those weren't moves that said to me, we want to be in position to do something if it comes available. Those were moves, what the Avs have been doing here over the last couple of weeks, said to me, we've got something we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to clear the deck. There also just really has been this sense around here that the Ryan Johansson thing hadn't worked. And it was, everyone understood. Ryan Johansson understood. The Avs understood that was going to be a short-term relationship. That was going to be a relationship that everyone was going to need to move on from, for everyone to come out kind of in their best case scenario. So we were just waiting. We were waiting for for something to fall, something significant. So that brings us to this morning. Get to morning skate. No Logan O'Connor on the ice, which was semi-expected, still dealing with the lower body injury. Then no Bowen Byram. It is easy this time of year to get caught up a little bit in the, this guy left practice. This guy, wasn't there. Oh, he was missing. Oh, he was this, that, and the other. It's easy to get caught up in some of that stuff. And a lot of the times it's nothing. A lot of times guys are actually sick. But there was just something about this that felt, why isn't Bo out here? I asked Jared Bednar after morning skate, and even he kind of yeah, he's sick. He's not feeling great. And it just, immediately the buzz just kind of started around morning skate. Hey, something's going on. Something's going on here. Then news of the Sean Walker deal breaks. Let's talk about this one a little bit. Avs send Ryan Johansson to the Philadelphia Flyers. Ryan Johansson and a first-round pick in 2025 in exchange for Sean Walker and a fifth-round pick in 2026. Sean Walker, right-handed shot, good mobile defenseman. Stylistically, I think is going to be a great fit with this Colorado Avalanche team. Does a lot of things well that the Avs also like to do well. Also, keep in mind, Bowen Byram was playing on his offhand. He's a left-handed shot, playing on the right side. The Avs, he'd adjusted. He had done well moving that offside, but you always want guys playing to their strong hand. So when that move came in, that was what really got everyone's antenna up going, oh boy, here we go. The moves are starting to come in. Because that wasn't a depth, a seventh defenseman piece. That's a guy, Sean Walker, that is going to be in your lineup every single night. So we kind of start adding that, adding those pieces together. Then while we were in the locker room talking to JT Compher, just waiting actually for JT Compher to get off the ice, there it was, Casey Mittelstadt, 1-for-1 for Bowen Byram. So I just kind of talked a little bit about Sean Walker. I think it's a nice pickup. I think it's a really solid add there in the middle part of your defensive core. I think, maybe doesn't have the same ceiling that Bowen Byram does. Sean Walker, double checking, already 29, so quite a bit older than Bo, but he's going to plug in really, really nice. 2.65 cap hit for Sean Walker. So you're already, you're in the positive. You're coming down a little bit. And by the way, you just cleared that $4 million off the books for Ryan Johansson. Casey Mittelstadt comes in, and I said it on Altitude Radio already this morning. To me, with that move, you should be looking at, if everything goes according to plan and you can develop Casey Mittelstadt the way that you want to. 25 years old, you are absolutely still in a situation where you are going to be developing Casey Mittelstadt. His best season should be ahead of him. You really should be. This move, yes, it stings to lose a guy like Bowen Byram of that caliber, a guy with that ceiling. But this really does to me feel like you are now looking at Nathan MacKinnon, Casey Mittelstadt down the middle for the next 10 years. That's what it should be, right? That's what you're hoping Casey Mittelstadt can turn into. On pace for more than 60 points this year. Maybe could push 70 if he really gets hot here at the end of the season. We'd really have to heat up. But he should be a 60-point player, 25 years old, still has a lot, of growing left to do in his game. But holy smokes, how do you not feel really, really good about putting Casey Mittelstadt right behind Nathan MacKinnon? And this was something that I had talked about, saying that if you were going to get into the Bowen Byram conversation, I don't want to gloss over losing Bowen Byram. That is a guy that a lot of people, myself included, at times, he's got number one defenseman upside, right? That's part of the reason why it felt like this trade was inevitable, because how could the Avs, you had Devon Toews ahead of him. As soon as the Avs re-signed Devon Toews this past summer, it really did feel like, that's probably it for Bo's time here. Maybe not right in the immediate, but that would have been where Devon Toews plays in the lineup is where Bowen Byram would have, hopefully matriculated. As soon as they locked up Devon Toews, you knew that Bowen Byram probably was going to become their most valuable trade asset. And look, you dealt from a position of strength to address an area of need. Comment coming in here. Byram's time as an Av was limited once Toews was extended. I just figured it would be during the summer. To be honest, last summer, I thought the same thing. I said, all right, this will be Bo's kind of last kick at the can with it with the Avs. Then they'll find something, in the summer. But that really does just kind of speak to what it probably took to get a deal like this done in season. The Buffalo Sabres had high hopes coming into this year. They're clearly out of the playoffs now, and they're looking to continue their retool. And, they added to a solid decor that they're building there in Buffalo. They almost kind of feels like they're looking at the Avalanche model and saying, okay, well, they built from the back end out, and they become one of the league's elite Stanley Cup champions, et cetera, et cetera. Now you got Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Power, and Bowen Byram in Buffalo. I think that makes a lot of sense for them. And this was a move that made a lot of sense for the Avs. This was a hockey deal. We hear that term a lot, and it feels like it's rare to see them these days. A hockey deal where both teams benefit. But that is what I think you got here. I think Casey Mittelstadt, there's plenty of reason to be very, very excited about him if you're an Avalanche fan. And look, let's just kind of take a broader step back at what the Avs just did today. So out, right? What did you move out? Bowen Byram, Ryan Johansson, and a first-round pick. Not a lot. Bowen Byram obviously a significant piece, but coming back, you get the fifth. I'm going to include it. I'm going to include the fifth because they did get it. You get a fifth-round pick. You get Sean Walker, who is a really solid middle pairing defenseman, and then you get Casey Mittelstadt, who again should be your 2C for the foreseeable future. This, I think, I use the word, and I'll double down on it here. I think today was a masterclass for Chris McFarland. In about 30 minutes, he replaced Bowen Byram, replaced and upgraded Ryan Johansson, and long-term kind of solved an issue. Casey Mittelstadt, an RFA after this season. He does have arbitration rights, but he'll be back in an Avalanche sweater next year. He's wrapping up a $2.5 per year, $2.5 million per year contract right now, so he'll need a new deal this summer. But again, RFA status, he'll be back with the Avs next year. Comment here that I've got coming in, lost potential with Byram leaving, but overall have better stability, legit second-line center, and more cap space. So that is the one thing I did not list in what the Avs acquired. The Avs acquired cap space. They moved out nearly $8 million in cap and brought back about $5 million. So the Avs still have room to play with. I believe about $5 million. So there's a chance they're not done here. Obviously, they've moved on. They moved out their first round pick, so they don't have that to barter with anymore. And they moved out Bowen Byram. Easily their biggest trade chip, but they used him to get back their biggest asset. And the fact they were able to acquire a second line center without having to give up a first round pick. And I'm pulling it up right here just so I can be sure. So the Avs still do hold their 2024 first round pick. Honestly, folks, if the Avs wanted to just YOLO it a bit here, they're in a position to. You got Val Nichushkin coming back next week, and suddenly, how do you not just completely flip, how you're feeling about this Avalanche team? The players got to go out and perform, no doubt about it. They've got to be the ones to go do it. But I mean, suddenly this is a much deeper team. This is a team that you feel really, really good about their top six. And you've got the veteran depth that you've had all season. This is a big day for the Avs. I don't think that it's being that hyperbolic to say that was the biggest 30 minutes in Avs history or the most craziest, the wildest. I don't know, because again, the players got to go out. Sean Walker and Casey Mittelstadt still have to come out and perform here for the Avs, but there's every reason to be optimistic, with everything that they did today. Dig a little bit into some of the comments here that you guys got coming in. Bring your questions in, bring in comments, all that stuff. We're kind of just sitting here talking. Crazy morning. I'm still kind of like coming down off of it just a little bit, just because of how hectic it was. How many years, I don't know how many folks sitting here listening or, longtime Avs fans, however long you've been around the team. It feels like all right, and a comment came in. So the Waugh trade was bigger, no doubt. But I don't remember the last time the Avs had, a 30-minute, hour-long stretch like that where the news was just coming in fast and furious. Obviously, they've had, bigger trades, Ray Bourque, Patrick Waugh, things like that. But this was just, it felt like it was coming, and then it did, and it was just one move after another. And, so the news breaks that they were moving a first for Sean Walker, and it was it's a little bit of an overpay for a solid defenseman, but a little bit of an overpay, especially somewhere where you've got, players, you've got your sixth defenseman, and then the news breaks that Ryan Johansson's a part of it, and the first round pick makes a lot more sense. that was a relationship that needed to end, and it made sense. And I lost my train of thought because there's such good comments coming in. So that one trade almost kind of felt like two. And then again, you're sitting there going, well, that's definitely setting something else up. And you were kind of maybe starting to settle in thinking like, oh, are we going to have to sit here now for the next 48 hours between now and Friday and just wait for the next shoe to drop? And they did it immediately. So that's why I think this was maybe the craziest. We'll go with craziest, not biggest, because you guys are right. There were, as many of you have now reminded me, there have been several trades that definitely exceed what we've seen here today. Question come in. What was the last 1-for-1 hockey trade this big? Two talented players on the move. Off the top of my head, I mean, is it Taylor Hall and was that Larson? Yeah. I mean, that honestly might be it. And that's a little bit, that day, the PK Subban, Steven Stamkos, Taylor Hall, like that whole day is the closest thing that I can kind of equate to what the Avs just did in the last, decade or whatever it was. The PK Subban, Shea Weber, Taylor Hall, Steven Stamkos re-signing. That was kind of the last time that I remember it being something like this and a 1-for-1 trade. As you guys are bringing up the comments, I feel like these used to be more common, right? Ryan Johansson went from the Columbus Blue Jackets to the Nashville Predators 1-for-1 for Seth Jones. Young players that, again, benefited both teams. That's what I think is fun about this trade. The Casey Middlestat one in particular is the Avs got exactly what they needed. The Sabres got exactly what they needed. The Avs are going to be bummed to not have Bowen Byram. The Sabres are going to be bummed to not have Casey Middlestat. Like it assuming both players kind of keep progressing, I think this should be something that works out great for both sides. Casey Middlestat not getting other teams' top matchups will do him well. Totally. That's the underrated part of being a second-line player in Colorado. And part of what Nazem Kadri, I'm sure he'd be one of the first to admit this to you, benefited from so much is you have all-world players playing on that top line. And in a lot of instances, you have all-world players continuing to play on the second line. Casey Middlestat, you're absolutely right. He's going to benefit from what should be some lesser matchups. Teams like to match their top lines, their shutdown lines against Nathan MacKinnon and company. Casey Middlestat should get a little bit of the easier matchups now here in Colorado. Yes, it does look like the Philadelphia Flyers have put Ryan Johansson on waivers. Look, let's just kind of call it what it is. This has not been a good year for Ryan Johansson. He was hoping to bounce back, kind of get back to where he had been, 20 goal scorer, things like that. It just hasn't gone that way. And let's be even a little bit more honest. This was something that we had talked about as a potential possibility that the Avs would maybe be interested in doing. Waiving Ryan Johansson if they couldn't find a dance partner just to free up the cap space. I was a little surprised to see the Flyers do that, just because they are still in the hunt. But we'll see. They may have Ryan Johansson stick around. There's a chance they reassign him to Lehigh Valley. Or maybe it's just an instance where the Flyers are saying, we wanted the first-round pick. We really didn't care about Ryan Johansson. So if we get the first-round pick and Ryan Johansson clears waivers, cool, we'll use him. If not, we got a free first-round pick and cleared some money off of our books. So it's going to be tough. I did feel like, Jean-Luc Foudy and Andre Pavel coming up to the Avs tonight from the Colorado Eagles, just as that news is coming in. As a quick side note, I saw someone say that, looks like we're going to get a Jean-Luc Foudy, potentially a Jean-Luc Foudy game tonight. I imagine the Avs lineup will, I got Jay sitting here who was editing all of our stuff this morning. It's great that they did all this, but the timing on that was not super friendly to us. I'll be honest. We had just gotten done with everything yep, lineup should be the same. Bowen Byram's a maybe for tonight. And then all this happened. So if you watched our morning skate stuff, Alexander Georgiev is still the starting goaltender. I think everything else is already out of date. But Jean-Luc Foudy coming up tonight as well. I don't want to say... I always feel bad going after a guy's effort because these guys work their tails off, right? It felt to me like Ryan Johansson saw the writing on the wall and understood this was a short-term thing for him with the way that things were going. I think he understood that, hey, even if I don't get dealt, even if I don't get flipped, he was probably getting bought out this summer, and it seemed like that took a toll on him. I pointed out far too many times I saw Ryan Johansson standing straight up, stick at his waist, kind of coasting through shifts. There were times, and we'll maybe get more into this, into the summer and stuff. There were times where I know that there was frustration that maybe Ryan Johansson wasn't doing what he needed to be doing. We go back to the Devon Taves incident from Chicago earlier this year when they lose to the Blackhawks in Chicago, and Devon Taves says we have people who think they're playing well and they're kidding themselves. It's easy to point that finger now, but there was a lot of speculation at the time that one of the guys he was talking about was Ryan Johansson, and that you had guys freelancing. That was the word that I think stuck out with me the most that Devon Taves and Jared Bednar used, was you had guys freelancing out there just kind of doing whatever. I think it was fair to assume Ryan Johansson. I think it was also at that time fair to assume Ross Colton and Miles Wood. Well, if you talk to Jared Bednar now, Ross Colton and Miles Wood are two of the guys that he brings up as examples. These are guys that bring it every night. They're bought in. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Okay, so there's two players that were maybe called out earlier in the season who have corrected, and are now looked at as do what they do. Ryan Johansson never got there, and it just seemed like that fire never really got lit. It just wasn't something that was going to. It just wasn't something that was going to work. It was destined to fail. I think Ryan Johansson knew that, and I thought the effort level reflected that. I think that's the nicest way I can put it. Whose top six can go toe-to-toe with Colorado? Once you get Val Nichushkin back, it's going to be tough. I mean, you're talking about the truly elite teams of the league. Toronto's got a really good top six. Boston maybe lacks a little bit of the center depth. They're already, in the conversation for maybe are they going to be someone that the Vancouver Canucks flip Elias Lindholm to. Vegas has a good top six. There's some good teams, but with the way the Avs are positioning this, and again, what I love about this is that they went out and they added a top six player, a second line center that's 25. When we had talked about it, in the lead up to this, we had said if you're moving on from Bowen Byram, it needs to be for a guy that's not just a 2-month, 3-month solution. We're trying to win a Stanley Cup right now. You wanted it to be another young player that's got some ceiling to grow into, and I think that's what they did. I'm a really big fan of this deal, just in the way that they went about the business on it, and the player that they targeted. It's going to be hard if Casey Middlestat continues to progress, and if you ever get Gabe Landeskog back this season or otherwise, that is going to be a very hard top six for other teams to match up against. And really, it's like you're kind of sitting here starting to do the math, and as well as Jonathan Drouin has played, let's not stop at top six. This is going to be a tough top 9, because now suddenly you're talking about Miles Wood, Ross Colton, and Jonathan Drouin as your third line. Now suddenly Logan O'Connor, Andrew Cogliano back onto your fourth line. Oh, by the way, I haven't even mentioned Zach Parise. Let's not stop at top 6. These moves right here give Colorado a deep defensive core that they've had all season. And suddenly you kind of take a step back and you're like, this is a pretty deep group up front. And oh, by the way, haven't even mentioned Kovalenko, that a couple of you are bringing up, whose KHL season looks like it's nearing an end, and will be another impact player in that bottom 6, for a playoff run. This one move has really kind of reshaped that Avs forward core, truthfully. And then again, you get the addition of Val Nichushkin back, I believe, on Friday. He's not going tonight. My best bet is Friday. I really hadn't thought about it till I was just sitting here listening this through. This is a deep group. Assuming health, this is a deep group for the Avs now. question coming in here. Assuming everyone is healthy, where would Landy fit if he makes it back for the playoffs? Look, I don't think Landeskog is coming back for the playoffs. I know Jared Bednar said yesterday that they're maybe hoping maybe he can make it back. I'm fully planning on him not. I think if he does come back, you're talking about really limited minutes, third, fourth line. Truthfully, I said it the other day, I think on NHL Network Radio. My honest guess is that if the Avs make a run all the way to the Cup final, you'll see them give Gabe Landeskog the Steven Stamkos treatment of one game, one shift somewhere in the finals to say that he was there, he was on the ice, he did it. But I don't think they're going to mess with that. The stakes are too high for him, both in the immediate and long term in terms of the injury. As much as everyone wants to see Gabe Landeskog back, let him come back next year when he's fully ready and you're not having to wince anytime he gets hit. The Avs have Nikolai Kovalenko coming on. He's on the way. Where do you see him fitting with the current team? He's going to be a bottom middle six energy guy. I think he's going to fit in really, really well. Maybe like an Arturi Lehkonen light. So a nice boon there for that bottom half of the lineup. Friday will be a game to watch. All fresh blood. The Minnesota Wild are coming to town. That's definitely going to be a fun one to watch. You're going to have Sean Walker making his debut. You're going to have Casey Middlestat making his debut. And look, I'm not fully ruling out. You got to keep a little bit of room available for Kovalenko. But I'm not even fully convinced. The Avs may not add something else here. Again, as I'm kind of going through this lineup here, there may not be a ton more room. I think Justus Annunen has been solid. I don't necessarily know if you need, to be adding a goaltender. Again, that was another thing I talked about this morning on Coffee Break, was with Rachel Vihill. I get it. Pavel Francouz came in and was great on the 2022 Cup run. That is not something that normally happens. You need your number one goalie playing like a number one goalie come playoff time. And so, look, if you can get 8 more quality starts out of Justus Annunen between now and the end of the year, I think that's solid, and I think that's what you're looking for. Let's see what else we got here. Let me kind of just go through quickly Casey Middlestat, just kind of, stat lines for him here. 25 years old, 6'1". Like I said, he's $2.5 million right now. First round, 8th overall pick back in 2017. Now, if you guys remember, Casey Middlestat was the player who could not do a pull-up at the combine. And that affected his draft stock. He was projected to go maybe a little bit higher than that, by a couple picks. And there were some teams that were scared off by the upper body strength of a 17-year-old kid at the time. Little bit of a slow start to his career. But really has kind of seems like he's taking those next steps here in the last couple seasons. 15 goals for 59 points last season for Casey Middlestat. Already 14 goals, sitting at 47 points in just 62 games played so far. This year, right now, if you project that out, puts him right at about 60, 61 points. Sean Walker, again, like I said earlier, 29 years old, 5'11", a little bit undersized guy for a defenseman. 2.65 on the cap hit. But again, good mobile skating defenseman. This is his first year in Philadelphia. 6 goals for 22 points in 63 games. You will take that production from a middle pairing guy that you like, that can skate, that can move the puck. So like I said, just some kind of X's and O's here. Avs still are going to have some room to play with. Cap friendly hasn't quite updated. What they'll have here, about $3 million is what it's showing on Cap Friendly as of right now, 123 on Wednesday, March 6th. So the Avs still have a little bit of room to play with, but wow, I really do. I think this has been a really good day for the Avs in terms of trades. We knew something was coming. We knew they were going to want it to be significant. I don't know if I ever actually finished this thought earlier when I was saying, if you've been an Avs fan for a while, we've gone through this. You've gone through this before, where It feels like they're going to do something. There's a lot of buzz around it. Ooh, there are rumors. Oh man, they're kicking tires on this guy. They're in on this guy. And then nothing really ever comes to fruition. They kind of end up just picking around the fringes. Not the case. Not the case here today. I don't necessarily know if this has been the biggest trade of the trade deadline, but this has been one of the most significant days for sure. And you know, they made a lot of moves. They made their splash here today, no doubt. There's a comment that just came in. In the past 10 days, the Avs have gone from $500K in cap space to about $5 million in cap space. They can get a goalie rental and then use the extra cap space on Middlestat or Walker to re-sign it if you want. The point is, what the Avs have done, and what I just can't get over. Chris McFarland has taken some flack over the last year since he has officially took over as the Avs GM. And look, let's be fully honest. Since Joe Sakic took over as the GM, when Patrick Waugh left, the Avs went through a stretch where everything they touched turned into gold. Every deal seemed to work out. Every player seemed to fit in. They went through a little bit of a stretch this year. Tomas Tatar didn't work out. They flipped him out of town right away. Ryan Johansson clearly didn't work out. Well, they got him out of town. And got him out of town makes it sound like it was like a problem. They had to like run him out of here. But they addressed the things that weren't working. These are moves that on paper, you got to tip your cap to Chris McFarland for not only solving issues that they had, not only bringing in players and filling holes that they needed filled, he actually gave them additional flexibility. So he solved the 2C problem, helped backfill for Bowen Byram, and gave them more cap flexibility. Impressive stuff, if you ask me. The work that Avs management was able to do today, and just sets them up not only to take a run at it here, but kind of going forward. So we'll see. Big day for the Avs. Significant day for the organization, not only today, but going forward. And look, we've still got 48 hours between now and the deadline. So things can still happen. A question came in here. I worry about the system difference. Do you see that as a concern? Look, the Avs, every player that has come in here, free agent or trade, has said, this is a tough system. It takes you a minute. It takes you to learn it and figure out where you're supposed to be. So that is a great call out and a nice thing to remember for the next week with Casey Middlestat and Sean Walker. They're going to make some plays that you're going to go, what are you doing? There's one that Josh Manson made 2 seasons ago that I remember very specifically. I mean, he threw the puck. I mean, there was not an Avs sweater within like 30 feet. And it was a bad turnover. And everyone was like, what was that? And we asked him about it after the game. And he was like, yeah, in Anaheim, with the system we played, when I get in trouble, there was always someone there. There was not someone there this time. That's on me. I got to figure that out. So there will definitely be some growing pains. But Jared Bednar talked about it this morning, coincidentally, that the one thing that they stress above all else is effort. That's the one thing you can control no matter what, is your effort and your checking. And so I think that is going to be where the emphasis is put for Casey Middlestat and Sean Walker. We want to see you guys with the compete level that we expect. We want to see you checking and your checking details to be at the level that we expect. And then the systematic stuff will fall in after. That'll kind of fall into place. But so that will definitely be something that they'll have to deal with, but nothing that I'm worried about long term. No. Jay, do you see any other comments coming up here that we need to get to? Oh, you threw it in there? Sorry, I'm all over the place. Oh my gosh, you got a bunch queued up. I'm not paying attention at all. Question here, Jesse, do you think the Avs will pursue the Allen trade again, or maybe one of the goalies from San Jose? What I think they should do and what they will end up doing, I think I don't think they will. No, I don't think they will, and I don't think they should. I don't think it's worth the assets. Just being honest. Unless you have shaken faith in Alexander Georgiev, which I don't think they do, no. I don't. Not only do I not think I don't think they should, I don't think they will. Comment here, I've really liked the way Parise has played. Interesting to see how Kovalenko, LOC, Parise, Kiviranta, and Cogs work out at the bottom. 100%. Truthfully, I think, and this is not a shot at Yoel Kiviranta, but more of just a comment on how deep this Avs forward core is kind of becoming before our eyes. I think Kiviranta is probably the guy that if you're fully healthy, you're scratching. But I'm with you. I think that combination of guys right there could be a nightmare for opposing teams, especially in the playoffs. Kerfoot would be an interesting 4C option. Truthfully, I thought he was going to be an interesting 2C option. I thought maybe that was someone the Avs were looking at. I'm with you. I think they got a better player here, and if you brought in Alexander Kerfoot to help fill out the bottom of your lineup, sure, but I don't really think you need to at this point. I think you're feeling pretty good. This is a follow-up here. We talked about Tomas Tatar earlier. Tuna, Tomas Tatar, was great in Jersey. Rough here, good in Seattle. I worry our system is just so different than most. Look, sure, you can feel that way, but there is also an extremely long-standing track record at this point of players coming to Colorado and their play improving significantly. We saw it with Johansson, Tomas Tatar. If you can't get on board with the checking details, the defensive details, and the effort part of it, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for you to work out here in Colorado's system. And so, maybe a team like Seattle, New Jersey, where Tomas Tatar thrived, maybe that was groups that were just okay with freelancing a bit more. The Avs had very specific ideas for what they wanted out of Tomas Tatar, couldn't get it done here. All right, guys, I think that's going to be about it. Really appreciate everyone jumping on. We had a great turnout for a bunch of people watching, so thank you guys. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the Guerilla Sports YouTube channel, especially you're heading into the back half. Trade deadline coming up in a couple days. We're barreling towards playoffs. We're gonna have a ton of fun content for you guys. We're wanting to do more stuff live. We're finally, we're building out our staff a little bit here. Jay, who you guys have met on This Is Fun, officially a full-time member here at Guerilla Sports. So we'll give him a little bit of love. But he is going to help, make sure that a lot of our content is coming to you guys. We got Mark running the board so that we could be live with everybody. So we're getting all this pulled together and be doing a lot more live, a lot more stuff that I love interacting with you guys and be able to hear your thoughts, answer your questions, all that stuff. So make sure you're subscribing so you're getting the notifications when we're going live. And all that, and just, I've said it a bunch of times, guys, but I can't tell you how much we appreciate your support. We're able to sit here and do this because of you guys watching, listening, clicking, following, subscribing, and liking is the best way to support the work that we do here. So thank you guys so much. I think that should do it. Avs, a couple big trades today. Let's see if they got anything else up their sleeve. But Casey Middlestat, Sean Walker, newest members of the Colorado Avalanche.